Hey, it's Travis. Too many camp directors run just on gut feel. Our free Resilient Camp Blueprint Diagnostic is your dashboard for resilience. Take it today at camp.mba/Travis. Again, that's camp.mba/Travis. Is delegation one of the things you struggle with as a camp pro? Do you keep saying, it would be faster if I just did it?
This is CampHacker. Come find our show notes and our blog for camp directors and leaders at camphacker.tv.
Why spend hours on your schedules only to find mistakes and missed activities for your campers? Let Camptivities do the heavy lifting and help you create the best schedules yet, without the mistakes and in less time. Come check out Camptivities, specifically designed for camps by camp people. Find out more at camptivities.com.
Remember what sparked your passion for camp? Ultra Camp knows it's about the people, not the paperwork. That's why they built a platform to simplify your camp management. Learn more at ultracampmanagement.com/camphacker. Hello, Camp Mavericks, and welcome to the CampHacker podcast, brought to you by Ultra Camp and the Camp Recruiting and Retention book from Joanna and myself. My name is Travis Allison. I'm a summer camp consultant specializing in getting parents to open, read, and act on your emails.
Hi, everyone. My name is Chris Hudson. I am founder of Camp Highlight, which is the best camp in the universe, the known universe. I'm sure there's other parts but I'm pretty sure we're pretty great there. I spend the rest of my time being a camp consultant, much like Travis, specializing in diversity, leadership, and staff training.
Well, Chris, excited to have a chat with you today. Before we get into our first topic, I just remind the watchers on YouTube, we're super grateful. You're welcome to join us in the comments. If you subscribe and follow and like this video, that also helps us. If you are a listener and it doesn't matter what app you're on, you can go to ratethispodcast.com/camp and leave us an honest review there. That helps us. It helps spread the word and helps us get more people to listen and helps us keep the show going. How are you doing today, Chris?
I'm doing great.
Good.
Yeah, sure. Yep.
Yes, also great. I'm excited for this topic. The more I think about it, the deeper I get. So we decided we'd talk about delegation. I think it's a skill that takes a lot of learning. I often wonder if for camp directors, you only learn to delegate after you completely burn yourself out.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, I guess I'm going to have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the Hail Mary. It's
Sure.
like, if I don't delegate, I'm shutting this program down. And
Yep.
unfortunately, people wait until they get there when really delegation, I think we were talking before we started recording.
Yeah.
I think people are afraid to delegate because,
Yep.
and we've had this conversation before, is that camp directors feel like the buck stops with me, for better or for worse, metaphorically or literally. My name's on everything. So I'm the one to get it all done. And that's the first thing that you have to defeat, because it's just simply untrue.
Yeah.
And it's an extraordinary amount of stress and pressure to put on one person to run a program for dozens or hundreds of people. It's just way too much. I find that the one thing I'm constantly screaming at camp directors about as a consultant is delegation. What do you do versus what do these people do?
Yeah.
Well, I do everything and they do stuff as needed. Oh,
yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder if we could start with, want to get into the details, but I wonder if we could just start with like reasons why or proof why this works. And I will tell you from my own example that when I started camp directing, I basically, as I've told on the show a few times, I was hired to bring in to save a camp that they were like, we'll trust this 23-year-old guy to do this because this camp probably won't be here in 2 years. And so that was obviously a lot of pressure. And it was a place that I hadn't grown to love yet, but people that I cared about loved deeply. And so that was a lot of that going in. But I realized that there are a lot of sort of corner turning moments for us. Certainly a corner turning moments is coming back the second season and hiring Beth and her, then having a partner to share these things with and somebody whose skills complement mine instead of match them. That was great. But I think one of the corner turning moments for both of us was when we learned to delegate. And that meant that our staff rose to the occasion. When we said, we know you can do this, Sure, it won't be exactly what I want. We have to accept that it won't be exactly what I want, or have to practice delegating better so that
Mhm.
people do it the way that I want or get a result as good as mine. But that act of then having not a team of one or two, but a team of 12 with our senior
Mhm.
leadership or a team
Mhm.
of 35 or 40 with everybody made such a huge cultural difference.
I mean, how could it not?
Yeah, people just were much more confident in how camp ran and confident in making decisions. We gave them tools to make their own decisions, like the 4S's that we've talked about many times.
Mm.
So it it meant we were able to, as a team, accomplish unbelievably bigger things than we would have if it was just two of us doing it all.
Absolutely. And you know what? The thing is, Travis, I don't think we need to convince anyone listening to this that
Yeah.
delegation is the way to go. Because when I talk to camp
Really?
directors, yeah, when I talk to
Okay.
camp directors,
Okay.
they know, but
Yeah.
they can't do.
Okay.
Right? They because I'll be like, What have you thought about delegating?" "I know, but" that's how it always starts. No one's ever been like, "Huh, I've never thought about it before."
Okay. All
There's a
right.
real
Fair.
barrier to
Yeah.
people accepting it, and I think it starts with going one step back and
Sure.
just talking about communication in
Yep.
general. I think that's the reason why people find it difficult to delegate or daunting to do so, is
Yeah.
because they haven't thought clearly enough about the communication in their organization.
Yeah.
Especially if it does come from like a founder or a director where the buck has been stopping,
Yeah.
right? That communication style of if they're doing everything, that means all the information is coming from them all the
Yeah.
time. Information is
Yep.
probably not flowing back
Mm,
the other way.
mm.
So, and when it comes to delegation, you have to have that
Yes.
practiced,
Yep.
that back and forth practice. So that's
Yeah.
the first thing I think why people are initially reticent because they literally don't
Yeah.
know how to do it.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
I think that's the first place to start is people looking at your organization,
Mm,
looking at the way information flows and ask yourself, is it flowing in all directions? Is it flowing up? Is it flowing down? Is it flowing
mhm.
from side to side? Before we decide who the buck stops with or who's
Yeah.
doing what, like, am I receiving information from the people I'm working with, working above, and working
Mm,
for? And what does that look like? And how is it
yeah.
communicated? Once you get that down, then we can start breaking down the who's going to do what with whom. So I think it's the
Yes.
first part.
Yeah. And again, I wanna dig into some more details. I wanna lay a little another piece of groundwork and invite
Mhm.
you to do the same. One of the things that I challenge my clients to do is understand deeply in their bones what I call their void number. It's the value of your time. So what camp is paying you per hour?
Mhm.
And
Oh,
if you
boy.
can have somebody, what's going to be obviously not great, but
Yeah.
still,
Cents
labor for
cents on
camps
the
is fairly
dollar.
cheap when we have staff online in the summer.
Mhm.
And if I can get somebody to do this job 80% as good as me and it costs camp half of what it costs them for me or
Mhm.
a quarter, then it would be irresponsible for me not to do it. And yes, I mean, laying groundwork, it does take sometimes it would be easier for you to
Mhm.
just do it, but instead of explaining it, except for the knock-on effect, the ongoing
Mhm.
effect is when you this one time have to explain to somebody how to do something, if that thing ever comes up again, you're just like, "Chris, can you do that thing?" And
Mhm.
it's done.
Mhm.
And so but it is getting over that. I think part of the problem is that people just get so overwhelmed that the natural reaction is, "I'll just do it."
Mhm.
And if you can take 3 deep breaths and say, okay, let me explain it. Now I have a partner in how camp is running, a new partner, because
Mhm.
they know a little bit of how to do a thing. And if I get hit by the bus, then there's, other people that know pieces of what this is.
Yes.
And camp directors do not in any way take seriously the getting hit by a bus problem.
Nope. No one ever thinks about secession until they're literally 3 weeks from burnout or
Sure.
retirement.
Yep.
And
Or doing it
it
from their hospital bed.
yep, it's
Which I have
such
seen in art from camp
oh
directors.
my god, for real?
For
It's
real.
it's such a missed opportunity, and
Yeah.
it's just heaping work at the end when you should be heaping it up in the
Yeah.
beginning.
Yeah.
And I think it's like I said, I think it's definitely a communication issue. I think it's definitely I mean, we talked about succession planning before. And
Yep.
I think, and as part of that conversation, now that I'm remembering, a large part of that conversation was delegation,
Yep.
because it's a way that you prepare people to succeed you. It's
Yeah.
a way that you prepare the pathway for all positions in your organization, like
Yep.
how people get to them. If you
Yep.
don't have good communication, if you don't have, I spent a lot of time talking about professionality and professionalism,
Mhm.
but if you don't have a professional work situation where the lines of communication are clear and the rules about that are clear, then
Yep.
it's really impossible for you to delegate correctly. And
Sure.
if that's the case,
Yep.
then you're kind of leaving the campers and the community in a lurch, because yeah, it's dark, but you could get hit by a bus. And then what? Where does that leave
Right, and
people?
it's not a I mean, obviously, bus is the extreme example, but you get laryngitis, you have to go to the hospital for an appendicitis. Like, Chris and I could probably spend an hour listing all the things that have happened to friends of ours in the summer that they got pulled
Or
out of
to
camp for a
me,
couple
yeah,
of
or
days.
to
Yeah,
you.
sure.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. It's, and you never know. It could be nothing to do with you. It could be
Yeah.
there's a death back home and you have
Yep.
to go. And
Yes.
then, and while you're dealing with that, now you have to think about every single thing that's going to happen at camp for the next 72 hours and informing
Yeah.
people of it in the moment
Yeah.
when you could have just done it before.
Yeah.
One thing though, I'm very sensitive about, how do I put this? I'm very sensitive about telling camp directors, oh, you should pre-plan, you should do everything before.
Sure.
Because the truth is, honestly, Josh, we say that about everything.
Sure.
And the beginning of camp, like the start of it, is already so stressful. I don't mean the
Yes.
start of the camp week. I mean, the start of camp planning is already
Mm,
so
mm,
stressful.
mm.
And I feel like I'm constantly suggesting people add more things to that time, to which I'm going to say, yeah, I'm kind of not sorry about it. I don't know. I don't know. It's part of the job. And if you structured that appropriately, it doesn't have to be overwhelming.
Yeah,
You know what
you're
I mean?
right.
Hmm.
It doesn't. And honestly, I think it has potential to be a lot easier in 2024 when we're recording this, 2025 and on,
Hmm.
because now the tools are better. So the first step to succession planning, but it's also delegation in its own way. The first
Hmm.
step is you need a dumping ground. So
Hmm.
I want to talk about the specifics of asking somebody to do a job.
Yes.
That's not this moment. What I want to say is you need a dumping ground of everything you delegate. If you have to text instructions to somebody, if you have to give oral instructions or write a
Hmm.
list, photograph that, record it, put it into a folder, and then just everything, all of those things, put them there. Now we're at a point where AI can take all that bits of information in different formats and can pull it all together for you.
Into
First
a
of all, you can
playbook.
ask AI to give a structure to a document that you will hand to the next person. And then
Hmm.
you can see where your holes are. But if you just have the dumping ground, notes on Apple are great. You copy them into it. Any other sort of voice recording thing, you can just dump all that in. AI can get a transcript from it and it can pull all this stuff together for you. So if you
Hmm.
spend the pre-camp time dumping stuff into one folder and then the during camp time dumping stuff into another folder, but just take the effort to make a copy of those things that you're passing on. Say to your staff at the beginning of the year, look, we want to be smarter about how camp runs. And so
Hmm.
when I give you instructions, it's going to feel weird, but I'm going to be recording myself giving you instructions. Everybody knows it's all front loaded. And then you have folders. And then
Hmm.
you are 150 steps ahead of most everybody in the business.
Yeah. Can we talk about ego for a second?
Yes, please.
Because I want to talk about, listen, everyone has a resistance to delegation. It's hard. It requires a lot of pre-work, as we're saying. But I want to talk about ego for a second, because I do believe that's why a lot of people don't delegate. Listen,
See, that's the thing I would push
yeah.
back on, but go for it. You tell me, and
Okay,
then
I
I'll tell
can't.
you.
Oh, I can't
Yeah.
wait to hear this.
Yeah.
Listen, I've been in camps for what, three decades, right?
Uh-huh.
32 years coming up this summer. And I'll be really honest. When I started at 19, part of the thrill was the fact that all these kids worshiped me,
Yeah.
right? I was delivering the best time they've ever had in their life. It was changing their lives. And it was all about them, but it was also all about me,
Yeah.
right? Like, I
Yeah.
love doing this. I feel so great at the end of it. I'm so sad when I
Mm.
leave. And I think moving into a director position over the time, there's like sort of like this powerful feeling of like, I'm controlling the fate of these children and their families. Like, I'm
Yeah.
the gateway to an unforgettable experience for them.
Right.
And I gotta say, I really do believe that ego comes into it sometimes when people have a resistance to delegate because it's sort of like, well, I don't want to share the spotlight
Mm.
or some version of that. It doesn't
Okay.
have to be completely selfish, but I think I can't speak for anyone else. Some version of that was playing in my head, and I had to confront and defeat that so I could become a delegation aficionado.
Mm.
And
Mm.
I just wanted to throw that into the bit because I always like to
Yeah.
challenge people's resistance to doing something. And it's cool if you have an ego. It's cool if you're really excited about what you're doing, but like understand like no one person's the catcher in the rye. Like
Yeah.
it takes a team whether
Mhm.
you want to admit it or not. So the
Mm.
only question on the table is, do you want to make it easier or harder for that team to deliver the thing that you are
Right.
delivering?
Yeah.
But I want to hear, so what's your opinion on that? You said,
So my opposite, but my somewhat contradictory opinion to that is I so this is why you and I need guest hosts with
mm-hmm,
us because you and I are extroverts. And so we're
mm-hmm,
validated by being in front of people, and we're validated by that sort of public acknowledgement.
mm-hmm.
Most of the people in this industry are not extroverts. Those that make it into administration and year round are not extroverts.
Okay.
And so I would say that a lot of the reason why people don't do it is lack of confidence. That saying stuff out loud or how you would do things means that somebody might judge you on how you've been dealing with. Like you have been the mystery leader, the whatever it is, the sage,
Mm-hmm.
and now by revealing this, you might reveal that you're just faking it every day. And I mean, for some situations, you're faking it every day. Some situations, you have great confidence in it, no matter extrovert or introvert. But I wonder if that's like it could reveal that you are not as confident as you're putting out into the world.
And we're talking about imposter syndrome.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Um,
just how, just the kind of validation that different kinds of people get out of this job.
I see. I can see that point too.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think we don't disagree. I think what we're actually describing here that there's a lot of barriers to being a really good delegator.
Yeah.
It requires a sense of self
Yep.
and a sense of structure,
Yes. Yes.
right? It's a
Yeah.
real sense of structure. And I like what you said before. I mean, by the way, this is quickly becoming the AI podcast, but I like what you said before about AI can really give you a structure. If you don't know where to start, AI will give you that structure and use it while it's still free and widespread
Yeah.
to make that happen. But yeah, there's so many barriers to it. Then jumping over all those hoops and then actually having to do it is, listen, it's exhausting because, again, like I referenced earlier, information's coming at you from different directions.
Mhm.
Taking that in, delegating and redelegating is a skill.
Yep.
Right? It's part of the same, but it's also its own thing, especially if the communication wasn't something you thought about really strongly or purposefully before. Like getting information about from people who you've delegated tasks to. And there's two kinds, like what do I do now? And this is what I've done.
Yeah.
Understanding the difference between those two things is a
Yep.
really important skill
Yep.
because too often people we delegate things to will come back and be like, well, this is what I've done.
Mm.
And they're not asking for input. They're just keeping you in the loop.
Yeah.
But then you jump in and be like, oh, and then you want to comment on it. I can speak from experience because this was me early on as a camp director. And I was like, no, 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 because every time I quote unquote correct them, it
Yeah.
weakens their confidence to
I
make
agree.
decisions, which
Yep.
I can't. If I am delegating, I need you to feel confident enough
Yes.
to do your own thing.
Yep.
So again, it comes back to understanding your communication style and really focusing on building that up, not just for
Yeah.
you, but for your organization.
Yeah, and that is one of it comes with practice. When I am trying to give somebody instructions, and I have had to practice giving myself structure to do that,
Mhm,
checking in along the ways. Just because of the way my brain works, my instructions tend to be quite circular and
mhm,
have too much explanation of why I've done it this way in the past. And if I can, I've just had to practice making it concise, giving them all the elements, giving them clear, this is what I want you to do, and then
mhm,
saying, does this make sense?
mhm.
Instead of my sort of circuitous. And I love to learn, and the way my brain works, I love to know the reasons why, which actually brings me to structure.
Okay.
I had to practice developing structure, but one of the things that I've learned recently this is my tool of the week, is this structure. Just happened to be that it fits in. There's a woman on TikTok named Ellie Middleton, and she was diagnosed with autism and ADHD in her 20s. And she had a lot of sincere and severe struggles because she was undiagnosed for so long. And she's thrived since then. One of the things that she's put out of the world that I love is a structure of a to-do for neurodivergent people that works for everybody.
Okay.
And this is adding a third thing to a usual structure of a to-do. Usually you would say, do this by this time. And her addition is why.
Yes.
What, by, when, and why is the structure of every to-do. Because then people, for us, we're teaching them how camp runs. We're teaching them why we make these decisions. We're giving them more power, more confidence by giving them the why. And that reduces sort of vague instructions. And that's what I would say. Like, if you want confidence in it, structure all of your delegation in that way.
Yes.
And then say, do you have any questions?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Communicating the why. And I want to get into a different topic, but
Please.
communicating the why is so important in, yes, communicating your thinking to staff, but also building confidence and encouraging them to find different pathways to get to the why. And we have talked about this often. We talk about this on and offline all the time, Travis. It's just that younger people today seem to have less confidence in making decisions in this particular sphere. And something that we started doing at Camp Highlight is really sitting them down and explaining not what to do, but the philosophy of what we do and letting that sink in so they can ask themselves a question. An example of that was we finally got around to delegating people to do the evening activities that were not the directors. Like we would write and produce and perform them for the kids. And we were like, we're tired. Someone else is going to do that. So we made committees. They did it. And someone came back to me and was like, okay, let's do a game show night. I said, okay, I'm in. Like, this is what I'm thinking. There's some TV show, something, I don't know. Basically, it's like two truths and a lie, right? And you have to guess. And so they're telling me about it. And I'm like listening. I'm just listening. I already know it's not going to work, but I'm just waiting for them to arrive. And then someone else in the group says like, well, now that I'm hearing about it, it's like, we spend all this time telling the kids about honesty. Does it make sense for us to encourage them to lie for fun? And I just sat back being like, well, my job here is done because that was part of the why. And they can interrogate that on their own. People understanding why they're doing things. It's not even good practice. It's the only practice. It's the only way you work together in a group. Why are we doing this? Should be the first question you get answered before you get to the what and the when.
Right. Because the opposite of that is just subtly or directly saying, because I said so.
Oh, gross. Who wants to work there?
Yeah. I don't want to work in because I said so land. Exactly.
You don't want to work there. And especially it's like, we work with children. Because I said so is just going to make the counselor or the staff member like run around like glowering at people because it's such a terrible thing to hear. It's dismissive. It's reductive. Like it's like an erasure. Like it doesn't matter if I'm here. I just have to do what you say. Like that's gross and upsetting. And I mean, no one listening to this ever says that. I'm certain of it. Like anyone who listens to this podcast is way past that. Right, everyone? You got to lead with the why. You got to lead with the why because you lead with the why, talk about the what and the when, and then be super flexible on the how. Right? That's why you led with the why is because, hey, you learn too. That's why information's flowing back to you. Like I learned watching people put together things that I put together for years, like differently was like a revelation. And also the kids and the staff need it. They need a diversity of opinions and presentations. Come on, everybody.
So what if you were up until the summer of 2024 or the end of summer 2024, you have been, well, I'll just do it myself, camp director. Where would you start to look for things that you could delegate?
One, I'm really community minded. This is a conversation for the community. Maybe not everybody, right? But whoever you think is your administration, it's a question to pose to them. as part of that conversation is a feedback session.
Uh,
Like asking administration, the people who I work with and work under me about my performance.
mm,
Because it could be in that evaluation that there's just something, Chris, that you don't do well. Well, okay, then I should delegate that thing. Right.
yeah.
We are having it's feedback. We're also having the conversation about delegation. Oh, well, Chris, this thing at camp, the activity scheduling, like we didn't get into the last second. It's like, okay, heard. I don't love doing it. So that's step one. Let's
Mhm,
delegate the activity schedule. And then we can break down what that looks like. I think the
yeah.
really first step for people is to ask that question of the people you work most closely with. Have them tell you what you're speedy at and what you're not speedy at. And that list,
Yes.
that list is going to
Yeah.
make itself. The
Right.
list of things to delegate first, second, and third is going to make itself once you
Yes.
have other people identify for you where you need the help.
Right.
Yeah. So,
So, interesting double effect of that is that you're teaching people how to give feedback well.
mhm.
And
Listen,
so by opening yourself up to feedback and then working through that as a group, you're teaching how to give feedback well. So I love that. That's
I
really
listen,
good.
anyone listening, if you want me to come to your camp and talk to you about feedback, I love talking about feedback. Like I can change your whole life. Feedback is, I don't know how anyone does anything without constantly seeking feedback about our performance. It's the only way you get better. And in what we're
Yep.
talking about here, it's the only way you can delegate. Because, like, to select what you're going to delegate, Travis, you can't just pick things at random or
Sure.
the things that you
Agree.
hate to do. Like, you really, it has to be data driven,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
It has to. So that's what I think. What would you say then? That's my number one thing. What's your number one thing?
Well, so for me, I think it's a cultural shift because you're the leader and you're
Hmm.
showing others that delegation is important. We have talked about the tools and how we think about it. One of the cultural things related to that in my mind
Hmm.
is it's kind of loosely related, but I think it all enforces the same thing. It is that lean mindset where you train your community to look for small changes that you can make that benefit everybody.
Hmm.
And so that you talked about something that made me think of Beth created this award that we'd give it to staff members every week called the Ivy Eagle. And it
Hmm.
was for people that saw big picture things that others couldn't. And especially if they saw them and acted on them. And sometimes that's hard when you're a brand new camp counselor and you're constantly going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, got them all, count again. Like if you're just in that frame of mind, but if you can teach people, give them some tools to think better, empowering people to see and advocate for changes that will make just camp just 2 seconds better every day makes
Hmm.
them see things as big picture, makes
Yes.
them start to see the impact that they can have. That's building confidence. So if you demonstrating that from the top and it is one of your it's one of the requirements of your staff, you're required
Hmm.
to make camp better 2 seconds, just the tiniest, smallest possible thing. Like taking the push pins from the office and putting them by the bulletin board.
Hmm.
That kind of small change can start to develop that vision, bigger picture thing that
Hmm.
people then also learn to delegate because they could be like, those push pins, it'd be much faster. But I, as the program director, don't have to be the one that walks to the office to get the push pin. So you start to see ways that you can delegate small things to build
Yes.
the muscle, see camp in a big picture, and build the muscle of trying out things, working out your what by when and whys for small things. So that I think to me is a culture thing. It's important because camp is then getting better, 2 seconds better times the number of people involved
Hmm.
in that wholeheartedly
Yep.
every day. It can be a huge impact over a week.
Hmm.
It can be a huge impact over 10 weeks or 4 months if you have stuff at
Yeah.
camp for that long.
But now a warning.
Yes.
If you're not doing your work, and by work, I mean like really asking yourself, where's my ego at? What
Yeah.
am I good at? If you're not doing your work, because I've seen this happen,
Yeah.
people go into delegation sort of with a chip on their shoulder. Fine, I need to delegate things. And they sort of dish things out to people who have not been prepared adequately to do it so that when they fail, the camp director gets to say, see, that's why I have to do everything on my own.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So my warning is
Uh-huh.
before we get to all this good stuff that Travis and I are talking about, you really have to make sure that you understand your whys, that
Sure.
you have your ego in check,
Mhm.
and that you have and are able to receive good feedback on your performance. If you're
Right.
not there, don't attempt to delegate because the
Yeah.
situation that I just spelled out is likely
Yep.
to occur.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
That's true. Yeah, cool. That's some of the stuff that I'd written down, the things that I was thinking about, and I really wanted to get to some of those things. So
yeah,
we we just encourage you to try. Find the small things. Even if you are alone in an office for the winter, empower the people that love and care for your camp to do some of those things. Even if you can't afford to pay them, just say, "Would can I get somebody to help me with this
mhm,
project?" Again, it builds the muscle, it helps you think big picture, it develops a culture of sharing the load and the credit, and
increases buy-in
honestly,
with the staff.
it yes, yeah, it turned our camp around, this
Yeah,
kind of thinking, this kind of vision.
ours too. And I will
Yeah,
say, getting better at this over the last few years is
yep,
what allowed me to step away as camp director
yeah,
and not feel like I had left people a rickety mess. It was a 4-year process of
mhm,
slowly handing things off, and it was worthwhile. And now I'm the stuff that I'm doing, I love doing, and I love that the camp runs without me.
yeah,
That is a success. I mean, and if we can end on this note, if you are working on something and it falls apart after you leave, then did you really create anything at all?
right,
The real success is building something, setting something in motion that continues to spin without you because you empowered everyone who is part of that machine to keep that machine going. That
yeah,
is actually the goal. That's
yep,
actually the
you're 100% right.
Every year, it's the same thing. Lots of hours spent working on the daily schedules, only for there to be mistakes, missed activities, and lots of stress. Why is it so difficult? There's got to be a better way. And there is. Camptivities, an activity scheduler made specifically for camps. Group scheduling or camper scheduling, we've got you covered. Different day schedules, no problem. Auto scheduling, elective scheduling, batch scheduling. Schedule the way that works for your camp. With over 60 reports, you'll be able to see the data easily. When a parent calls and says, "My camper didn't get an activity week 1, pull up the group activity tracker and see exactly when that activity was scheduled all summer long. Modernize the way you do activity scheduling. Make it easier to collaborate with team members. Get rid of the mistakes and make sure your campers are getting to all of your activities. We'd love to show you the next big thing in camp. Don't wait until the new year. Now's the time to find a better way to schedule and save 15% for the first year. Let us help you get away from your desk and back out in camp. Visit camptivities.com to set up a time to chat.
Exclusive to CampHacker listeners. Generate fresh ideas for activities, staff training, marketing campaigns, and more with UltraCamp's plug-and-play AI prompt guide. Download it for free at ultracampmanagement.com/CampHacker. Why struggle with multiple systems when one can do it all? UltraCamp offers a platform that simplifies your work by combining all aspects of camp management into one seamless solution. UltraCamp brings everything you need into one easy-to-use platform. Plan schedules and activities with just a few clicks. Register and track campers easily organize, schedule, and automate your communications. Manage payments and donations seamlessly. Get back to what you love. UltraCamp helps you spend less time on admin tasks and more time creating unforgettable camp experiences. Ready to see if UltraCamp is the perfect fit? Schedule your free personalized demo at ultracampmanagement.com/CampHacker. That takes us to our tool of the week.
Tool of the week.
We always ask ourselves and people that come to visit the show to bring us a tool that'll make us a better camp director. I'm going to start, Chris, since I already
Okay.
previewed mine. Mine is that format from Ellie Middleton, the what, by, when, and why.
Mhm.
And the thing that brought this to my attention today, why I put it in the notes, is just kind of coincidence that lined up. Ellie had a post on LinkedIn today, and she was talking about the vagueness of instructions and how that affects everybody, not just neurodivergent people. her statement, she said, that really caught her attention was someone walking into her office and say, "Hey, can you have a look through this document and we'll touch base with your thoughts?" And
Hmm.
it's just so vague of what does touch base mean? What does
When,
thought?
how long,
Yeah,
am I
yeah, so
writing it,
there's
or are we going to have a
no what, by,
discussion,
when, and
or,
why.
yeah.
Yeah, who is the document
Yeah.
for? How urgent is this? Should I do this before? Like, these are all her points. So should I do this
Mhm.
before what I'm doing right now? What should I look through this document? Like, what am I supposed to do with what I look? So that was such a great point that really brought it top of mind. It's coincidental that it fit directly into the topic that we had been planning for. But if you go to camphacker.tv/podcast, you can see previous tools of the week. And we will include this illustration from Ellie about this question and all of the resulting questions that it gave her because she wasn't given clear what, by, when, and why.
Cool.
Your tool, Chris?
Very cool. My tool is, so I am old and I have lower back problems, and I went to the doctor about it. And one of the things that they suggested was a supplement that was over the counter, magnesium citrate. And it comes in these little gummies, which are delicious. And what it does is magnesium sort of calms your system down. It relaxes you. So I've been taking them at night and sleeping really well. It doesn't like knock you out because it's not a controlled substance. It's not a drug.
No.
It's just magnesium's already in your body. It just
Right.
activates the pathways to sort of relax your muscles and relax yourself and get you ready for sleep. And I gotta tell you, it's been really great. And I wish I was still at camp, because this is precisely what I need. Because
Yeah.
at camp, like, you
Yeah.
can't take a sleep aid that's going to knock you the heck out,
Yep.
right? Because who
Yeah.
knows what's going to happen in the middle of the night. But
Uh-huh.
just something like melatonin or something like that. Like, this just kind of, I don't like melatonin because the kind of sleep it gives me is fitful.
Okay.
But this is just sort of like a very gentle sail to sort of like hooded eyelids and just like really relaxing. So I would recommend it. And everybody's different. And the thing about supplements is it may work for you, it may not work
Yeah.
for you. But I'm having a great time. So I would just
Right.
recommend that. Get some rest, everyone.
Get some rest.
Mhm.
Some rest. Before we say goodbye, I want to take just a second and highlight one of the other Go Camp Pro podcasts, the Day Camp Pod. If you search your podcast app for the Day Camp Pod, Andy and Sam have put out some great shows this year thinking about the future of camp and some really serious discussions of that. And we're looking forward to a great season from them, but already what's come out has been wonderful. So even if you are not a day camp professional, you will get good stuff out of this. They're really intentional about the guests that they bring in, and they always talk about day camp, but there's always lessons for everybody. I think that's one of the things I'm kind of most proud about all of the Go Camp Pro shows is every one of them. I'm like, even if this isn't exactly you, you should still listen because you'll learn stuff. So please go check out the Day Camp Pod. Chris, how should people get in touch if they want to follow up with you? Or hire you to come and talk about feedback at their camp?
Yeah, it's so
They
simple.
should do.
Go into your bathroom, look in the mirror, say my name 3 times, and I should appear. If
Okay.
that doesn't work,
Yeah.
you can always email me, chris@planetchris.net, or follow my exploits on Instagram, planetchris1.
Thanks for everything, Chris. This has been a great show.
You too, Travis. Talk to you soon.
If you want to get in touch with me, show ideas or follow up stuff, or to hire a Go Camp Pro person, Travis at gocamp.pro. Thanks for the evening, friend.
The Camp Hacker podcast is brought to you by Beth and Travis Allison, summer camp leadership training and marketing consultants. Thanks for listening.
Hey, Camp Pros. We love that our industry is built on sharing. In order to foster that spirit, if you've gotten even one good idea from a Go Camp Pro podcast, a masterclass, from the Summer Camp Pros group on Facebook, at a conference, or wherever else, we ask that you give credit where credit is due. That way, we can encourage camp pros to keep freely sharing their brilliant ideas and make the camp industry better. Thanks very much.
Hey, it's Travis. Camp directors often tell me they're just too tired to take on anything new. That's exactly why my free Resilient Camp Blueprint Diagnostic exists. It doesn't add work, it shows you progress. Quick, free, repeatable, you'll know if your systems are paying off without the guesswork. Try it today at camp.mba/Travis. That's camp.mba/Travis.